Hello students, Michael Sanchez, violin teacher here. Hope you guys are having a great day. Welcome to our first webinar that we're doing through this contest in August. And yeah, I'm really excited. We have lots to talk about today, lots of good instruction that's going to be happening. And yeah, we're probably going to be getting quite a few people here today, so we're going to be answering their questions. And we're also going to be giving away some prizes. So anybody that's here, that's popping in, will have a chance to win some different things. I'll show you guys in just a second here. But yeah, anybody that's here currently live, feel free to post a message. Let us know where you're from and how long you've been playing for. I'll also do a poll here in a second to kind of get the overall of everybody's ability levels, as well as yeah, where everybody's from. Probably quite a few from the United States, but we do have some people also from all over the world that follow us. So, but yeah, I'd like to introduce real quick some of the teachers actually that are with us today. So. Everybody, give a warm welcome to Scott Adams, who is here. He just said good evening, everybody. Scott is one of our superior violin teachers. He's been managing superior violins with me for about a year. And Scott is a viola teacher. He's from Texas. And yeah, him along with me and then Katie Hedinga, who's also here. She's actually from my area here in Grand Rapids. Katie's also a viola teacher and violin teacher. So we basically have three of us that sort of work at Superior Violins and answer questions. And we're all violin teachers and viola teachers. I always tell them and joke around that I'm outnumbered by violists, but I guess, you know, what can you do? So, so yeah, Katie's just saying hello, looks like. Katie says, yeah, happy to everybody here. So yeah, I encourage you guys that are here right now just to interact with each other, ask questions. I'm going to try to get through as many questions as I can throughout this webinar. And basically, you know, hopefully the ones that I don't get to, Scott and Katie are going to be able to answer. And then, yeah, anybody that's here live will have a chance to win some prizes. So let me present the prizes. I always find it fun just to kind of, you know, give students incentives to come to the classes and learn. So yeah, I do have quite a few. So I have sort of some basic prizes, some ornaments. So give me a thumbs up if you guys want to win some ornaments, cool music note ornaments. So we're going to be giving these away randomly. So if you like cookies. Also pens, a couple pens. So I'm going to basically randomly pick some winners tonight. I got some of those I'm going to give away. And then basically the grand prizes will be this awesome violin mug. So if you like the violin, which I'm guessing most of you guys do, this is going to be a really cool mug to put your coffee in, as you can see. So I love coffee. And then also the sort of grand prize, I would say, is going to be my book. So I'll sign this book for anybody. I wrote the Fiddle for Dummies book. So yeah, we'll pick one winner for the mug and for the book. Awesome. Well, let me start with sort of doing some polls, kind of just get an overall consensus of everybody's ability levels, and also where you guys are from. So let me start with that. And yeah. There's a place actually, if you're here live, to ask questions. So if you kind of want to familiarize with the functionality of this a webinar software, basically you guys can ask questions through a button that's sort of in your toolbar. And that one I'm probably going to be checking the most, being that a lot of you guys are going to be chatting and it's going to be hard to sort of decipher through questions that way. But Scott and Katie probably can get through a lot of those, maybe send you guys to some different links if you have questions. But yeah, if you actually want to kind of be on my list of questions for left-hand technique that we're going to be going through today, feel free to post questions anytime that you have them. All right, so here we go, polls. So let's start with where you're from. So go ahead and just let us know. United States, Canada, Europe, Asia, South America, or Australia. And I'm not sure if I spelled Australia right. I wasn't sure if there was an I in there. Sorry if you're Australian and I got that wrong. So I'm guessing mostly from the United States. We have quite a few followers from there. And yeah, while you guys are doing that, just to give you guys an introduction that are new to our platforms, I'm Michael Sanchez. I've been playing violin for about 27 years and teaching full-time. Did mostly private lessons in person in Grand Rapids, Michigan for quite a while, but then got really busy online just doing videos and managing the Superior Violin store. So, but yeah, my passion lies in teaching. And I'm really excited to give you guys some really good tips today with left hand. So I got some polls lined up for that. So it looks like 71% of you guys are from the US. Awesome. Canada as well. We got some Europeans here. It's a little bit late your time, so you guys are really dedicated followers. I'm guessing it's somewhere around midnight in Europe. Got some South Americans. Cool. No Australians. Okay, well, that's probably good because I'm not sure if I spelled it right. All right. Cool. And yeah, just to let you guys know, randomly I'll do the prize giveaways, so they'll be kind of just randomly throughout this. And then for those of you guys that are interested in getting points for the contest that we're doing, I will be giving a code randomly in this class that basically will allow you guys to get 500 entries for the Vitali violin. So those of you guys that are here right now are going to have a much higher chance to win the instruments that we're giving away this month. All right, let me do another poll, and then we'll get to the instruction and all that in just a moment. I'm just kind of curious what levels everybody's at so I can kind of tailor the class. Let's see here. Set the poll here. So next question is, how long have you been playing? I even have an option for teachers if you're a teacher. So Katie and Scott, so you guys are going to be the teachers, but maybe we have more teachers. Cool. Yeah, so I have everything from haven't started up until playing 20 plus years. So it's always a challenge to kind of have instruction tailored to a wide audience of ability levels, but I do try my best with that. But if there's kind of more in certain areas, I'll kind of focus a little bit more on that. But ultimately, it's just about you guys, what your questions are and how we can help. So, oh, wow, we have some people that haven't started. Welcome to you guys. Certainly playing violin is a journey, and maybe this will inspire you guys to get started. So very good. Thank you guys for being here. Looks like we have, quite a few kind of in that under 3 months to 2 to 4 year range, about half. And then, quite a few, 25% of you guys are for 4 to 10 years experience. So for those of you guys that are more experienced in that range, we're definitely going to be going through some really good tips. Ultimately, to help you guys with shifting, with vibrato. Even you guys that are less experienced are going to get some great tips with vibrato today. So we'll get to that soon. And yeah, it looks like we even have some more experienced players, even one that's been playing over 20 years. So you're in my range. Very good. Awesome. All right. Well, let's see how the chat's going. Looks like we got a lot of chats going here. Wow, this is awesome. A lot of people are here. 68 attendees. Very cool. Everybody, welcome. So thanks for being here. All right, well, let's get started with some of the instruction, and then I will try to get some questions, so feel free to ask Scott and Katie kind of how to do that with getting those questions into my area. And feel free to chat with each other and get to know each other. I think you guys can send each other private messages if you want to kind of just connect with each other, if you have similar interests or are from similar areas. So, all right. So yeah, what I wanted to start with is just explaining to you guys, get out of that kind of light glare there. I wanted to start just by kind of giving you guys the importance of technique and left hand. So I've had so many students over the years that have started playing the violin, and they build a really good fundamental base. So like if you really focus on drills, on technique, and really get that left hand perfectly, you're going to be able to really excel at the violin. So I mean, I see students that don't do any technique, don't do any drills. They tend to just really progress at kind of a really steady rate, not very fast, so they're playing similarly, after a year, after a couple of years, they're kind of not really progressing that much. And a lot of the reason is just that they're not focusing enough on technique. So technique is so big. If you've taken private lessons, you probably know your teacher has emphasized it. But ultimately what it's all about is getting that left hand into that perfect position to where you don't have to do much other than just drop fingers down, okay? Now, a lot of you guys that are playing more experienced pieces, you're playing in flats, you're playing, pieces that, require a lot of shifting, a lot of jumps, fourth finger stretches, whatever it is like that, you have to be able to reach notes. You might be having a hard time finding, good intonation when you're not set up perfectly to where your fingers are just falling down. Because ultimately it's all about muscle memory. Okay, muscle memory is the key to playing really well on the violin and being in tune. For those of you guys that have never played before, this is a fretless instrument. That's the bad news as far as challenging, because we have to put our fingers in the perfect spots. So if we're doing extra things, like for example, if we're pressing fingers down, but we're reaching for notes with the hand, we're reaching and not actually just letting fingers fall with my hand being still, I'm putting another variable into the equation, and that makes it less accurate. So, I'll give you an analogy. If you're shooting a bow and arrow, you wouldn't be dancing around and trying to find that target, right? You would be very still and just trying to do one thing and then let the arrow go. So same thing goes to the left hand of the violin. If you guys are moving around with your hand, you're going to have a really hard time with intonation. You're going to have a hard time playing fast because there's all these things going on. So, you know, if you have a low note, if you have a B flat, let's say, on the A string, followed by a fourth finger, if you're kind of reaching back with the hand to find the B flat, okay, and then all of a sudden you have a fourth finger, you have to come back. See that movement with the hand I'm doing right there? That's what I'm going to hopefully help you guys avoid today, because that is what's causing you guys to play less in tune and less fast, because it takes more time to be able to do that with a hand. You know, so imagine trying to do that really fast. It only will go so fast. So we actually have to do, and what I'll show you guys the exact way to set up your left hand in just a second. But basically you have to be able to squeeze that finger back very easily and then be in a position where the 4 just falls down, not reaching for it, right? So hopefully you guys can relate to that. Some of you guys that struggle with challenging pieces that have a lot of 16th notes, struggle with pieces that just require a lot of jumps, you know. I'm guessing that you're maybe not focusing enough on technique. All right, so let's set up that left hand perfectly, and then I'll take a couple questions. So basically, I teach it in a way that I think is the easiest to understand based on my experience as a teacher. Just basically, I do it in 4 steps, okay? So if you guys follow these 4 steps, you're going to be able to get in the perfect position to where fingers are just falling down, okay? So we're trying to avoid those variables that I just kind of explained to you guys, right? So here's the 4 steps, okay? Number 1, if you guys want to grab your instruments, feel free to do that. Give you guys a second here. See how the questions are going here. Oh, cool. Welcome, everybody. This is a live webinar, by the way. This is not recorded or anything. And for those of you guys that are coming in a little bit late, Scott Adams is a viola teacher in Texas. He's actually helping answer questions right now. He's my manager, actually, with Superior Violins. And then Katie Hedinga is also here. She's helping answer questions for anybody that's interested in improving. And she's a really good teacher here, actually, in my hometown of Grand Rapids, Michigan. So feel free to say hi to her and ask any questions through the feed. Scott and Katie should be able to handle those. And then I'll handle some of the other ones through the other application in just a moment. All right, so hopefully you guys got your instruments. Very good. All right, so the 4 steps. All right, so number 1, I want to make sure you guys have the perfect thumb position. So many students kind of just randomly grab the instrument and their thumb kind of goes wherever, okay? They have their thumb a lot of times kind of back where the nut is, okay? I prefer, and I teach and highly emphasize for the thumb to be in the same position as the first finger intonation, regular first finger intonation, okay? So basically your 1, your normal 1, is even parallel to your thumb, okay? So about an inch away, but it's basically where that first finger intonation is, okay? There's a lot of violinists that have high thumbs, Itzhak Perlman, lots that have low thumbs. Don't worry so much about the height. The biggest thing, though, is that you want to be consistent. You don't want to, you know, play high with a high thumb and all of a sudden you're low. We want to keep that the same. So whatever you choose, I prefer to just be even with the fingerboard. Once you're in that position, stick to that position when you shift, okay? And when you move around. So when you're setting up, make sure the thumb is in the perfect spot. Very, very important. That's step 1, okay? All right, step 2 is making sure that the hand is back actually where the nut is, okay? So many students, they kind of just, especially when they first start because they're not playing in flats, they kind of put their hand here, even with the thumb. So they're 1 and thumb. What happens with that is it fluctuates our finger angles to where now we're going to have trouble reaching the 4th fingers. Raise your hand. I don't have ability to see this, but raise your hand if you struggle with the 4th finger, stretching for the 4. All right, if your hand is here, your angles are more here, and now you're going to have trouble reaching the 4. So what's so important is in step 2, having the hand actually back by the nut. Now our fingers are lined up more like this instead of like this, okay? Very, very important. So thumb position, hand back by the nut, okay? Very important. So those are 2 steps so far. Step 3, this one a lot of students, even that have been playing 5 years, 10 years, don't do, and they really struggle. It's a bad habit, is their fingers are too low. You see how my fingers are kind of more flat right here? What we actually have to do in step 3 is actually get the hand higher. So the way I explain it is that we don't want to be here with contact with the fingerboard. We want to be about here where the crack of the hand is. I don't know if you guys have that same crack as me, but right here, about this far down from where the fingers start right here. Okay, so not here. This is too low. This causes fingers to be flat and it makes it hard to reach notes. It makes it hard to reach, let's say, the fourth finger on the G. See how I'm not reaching that? And it makes it hard to reach the low ones. So the adjustment from here to here is huge right there, okay? So that's step 3. Okay, so far we have step 1, step 2, hand back, step 3, hand high, okay? Everybody should be able to hopefully do this. Thumb height doesn't matter, just have it even with the 1. Okay, step 4 is turn, about an inch away from the fingerboard. Okay, not too close, not too far, inch. Okay, so that's step 4. So step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Once you're in this position, if you did this right, literally all you have to do to find every note on the violin in first position is let your fingers fall. Now I can reach the low ones, B flats, by squeezing. See how high that finger is right there? A lot of you guys are too low with that finger. So right here, we can squeeze and reach every low one. We can reach F natural on the E string, B flat, E flat, and A flat by just basically stretching the finger out and squeezing, squeeze, okay? And then we can also, with this hand position, reach the fourth finger on the G string. Okay, so see how I'm still leaving down the 1 on the A string, and I'm reaching the 4 on the G string. Like that, okay? So this is perfect hand position. This applies to every level of violin. Whether you just are starting out playing Mary Had a Little Lamb, I want to set students up like this, or you're playing Mozart Concerto in G, this hand position applies to everything. It doesn't get more complex with the hand position. That's the one thing that people misconception about playing the violin is a lot of people think that it gets like more crazier with the hand. It actually stays the same, and that actually makes it harder for you if you complex it. Because Mozart Concerto in G, any advanced concerto is going to be the same concept, letting fingers fall. You actually need it more in that scenario. Okay, or you're playing something simple. So it's just the same. The hand position applies for all of violin playing, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Turn, hands fall. So what I want you guys to do to sort of test this out, to make sure you guys are doing this properly, is I want you to play an F natural on the E string, low 1 on the E string. So not normal 1, but low 1, F natural. And then also leave down the 1, the F natural, and then try to place your fourth finger on the G string, which is a D, okay? See if you can leave those 2 fingers down. If you can do that, if you can reach those notes, make sure they're in tune and get a tuner just in case you're not sure. If you're flat with it, you're maybe not in the right position, but try to do that. And one tip to sort of help with that, because some people just kind of, what they do is they just put too much pressure down into the fingerboard. Overall, they're just grabbing the fingerboard too hard. And what that does is it makes your hand not be as flexible. We want the hand to actually be flexible like this. See how my fingers are just spreading apart? We want that to happen. So that actually helps a lot to reach the fourth finger. So a lot of you guys are struggling with the fourth finger, you might just be grabbing the fingerboard too tight, okay? So basically what you want is just minimal pressure. You want the littlest amount of pressure into the fingerboard as possible. Aim for the very tip of the finger right before the nail is the hardest part of the skin. Aim for that and then just put minimal pressure down. Oh, hey, everybody, this is Forte. It's my cat Forte. I named my cat's musical terms, so I got piano and forte. So she likes to hang out. So minimal pressure, even with the fourth finger, minimal pressure, okay? A lot of you guys are over pressing that 4, and it just makes your hand do more of this instead of this, okay? It isn't force. It isn't going as hard as you can for that fourth finger. It's having the hand in the right position and then letting your fingers gently fall, but having that flexibility, okay? So if you're feeling like, yeah, if you're pressing too hard, even with one finger, let's say you put down a F, let's say an F natural on the D string, you really press down with that F natural. Your hand right now is like this instead of being like this. So a lot of you guys that are struggling to reach the 4, all you have to do is press down less, very lightly, as little as you can to still get the right ring. Obviously, if you don't press down enough, you get just enough. Okay, so minimal pressure, then my hand has that flexibility that we need, okay? So let me just go over this one more time and then I'll take a couple questions. Thumb position, hand back, hand high, turn, fingers fall. Try finding the low 1. Try finding the 4 at the same time. Press down as lightly as possible. And one more tip for you guys. What I recommend is, especially if you're new to this concept, don't try to put the bow into the equation, okay? Those of you guys that are maybe over 4 years experience, that's obviously fine. You're going to have no problem with that. But what I recommend is doing what we call pizzicato. So not actually using the bow. We're just going to set up our left hand like we talked about, and then just try to work on just finding notes one at a time and not having to worry about the bow. So you could play a scale. If you're just starting, you could do a D major scale. And try to work on just that minimal pressure. If you're more advanced, you could do like a G major 3rd scale. You could work on your etudes with this concept. Or maybe you just have a really bad habit of this, and splitting up the hands and not doing the bow is not a terrible idea. So you just kind of have to judge that for yourself. All right, let me take 2 or 3 questions, and then right after that, we're going to give away some prizes. So hopefully you guys like prizes. We're going to be giving away some ornaments. Or not ornament. I guess you can use them as ornaments. What do you guys think? Scott, Katie, what do you think? Ornaments or cookie cutters? Whatever you want it to be. Some pens. So all you guys that are here today are going to be in luck with some chances to win prizes. And then, yeah, just to give you guys a reminder, our grand prizes are going to be my violin mug as well as my Fiddle for Dummies book. So... all right, let me see if I can find some of the questions here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the class so far. We're going to be going until 9 o'clock, and then after that, we'll kind of still hang out afterwards and answer more questions, hopefully. I'll be sending you guys a link to the webinar sign-up page eventually here as well, as we're actually doing 6 of these this month. So I'm doing classes on left-hand technique, right hand, vibrato, encouragement, fiddle, as well. So it should be fun. All right. Just give me a moment here. I got to find the question area. All right. Riley asks, that hand position Michael is talking about, moving up the hand higher to play on the fingertips, does that apply to playing double stops too? Great question, Riley. So as I was mentioning earlier, whether you're playing Mozart Concerto in G or if you're playing, Mary Had a Little Lamb, everything that you play, no matter how advanced it is, has the same fundamentals, the same concepts that we're talking about. So a lot of you guys might not be doing that, though. A lot of you guys might be not thinking about left-hand technique, and you might be more just kind of coming up and down, building bad habits, because what happens is a lot of people that try to play really, really advanced pieces, they tend to focus less on technique because they have to worry so much about intonation, right? So we're playing a piece, and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to do that run. I got those 16th notes. I got all this going on. They don't have time to think about that. They might be struggling. They don't know why. But a lot of it's just because maybe the piece is too advanced or you're not working on technique enough. So you might start off having a really good hand position, early on or for a while, but then you start to dip and then you start to lose it. So what I recommend is you guys watch yourself in the mirror. That's really good. And spend at least a quarter of your practice sessions focusing on technique, watching yourself play from the side, kind of just, even if you're just starting, it's actually like separating the hands, like not doing the bow, focusing on everything we just talked about. A lot of you guys just kind of jump too quick into practicing. You just want to play something. But what's going to happen is over time, you're going to build bad habits, and ultimately you're going to sound worse, and you're going to be more discouraged instead of encouraged. So try to spend more time working on some of this stuff, even if at one point you had it down, because I see students all the time, they have good technique, but why do they come to lessons every week, private lessons? Because it's always managing the fundamentals, right? You can't just assume that you're always going to have it once you get it and you practice it and, oh, I got it down for the song. It's going to keep being something you have to manage. If I'm playing a tough concerto, there might be a section where I'm doing, a big, tough slur passage with crossovers, with spiccato, whatever it is. I might not be bending my wrists like I should. I might not be, focusing on not over pressing. I might have such tough passage that I'm overpressing, even with me playing for 27 years. I mean, so there's always something you have to manage with technique. So that's why I encourage you guys. So yeah, Riley, to answer your question, it does apply to double stops. Absolutely. Double stops, the one thing that's different, that's harder, is you sort of have to manage not hitting the other strings, right? So if you're playing a double stop with first finger on the D string and A, obviously you can't touch the A string with your first finger. So sometimes what you have to do with double stops is actually manage your finger to kind of go more over towards the G instead of being more on top of the D string. So I'm kind of moving that over, but same concept of pressing lightly, but just kind of having it more managed to where the A string is very open. Because yeah, for those of you guys that have never done double stops, if you're more on top and you're trying to do a double stop and it's any bit touching the A, it's going to create a very nasty cat noise, unbelievably nasty. So yeah, you guys probably potentially, if have tried double stops, have dealt with that issue, just having to manage open strings and such. So great question. All right, let's get to a few more here. And just to let you guys know, they're coming in later. Scott and Katie Hettinger are here. They're our superior violin teachers. They're both violists, so anybody that's a violist can certainly ask viola questions. And I mentioned earlier, I'm always outnumbered by them, as I like to think violin's more cool, but they outnumber me as far as teachers here. So, but yeah, I'm just kidding. I play viola too. But yeah, they both teach violin and viola, so. Sylvester asks, the thumb position makes my fingers stiff. How do I fix that? Yeah, so I mean, you want to have very minimal clamp, I call it, on the fingerboard, because ultimately what you want to be able to do, Sylvester, is actually be able to shift up and down the instrument. So you want to have that feel of the neck. Okay, so you might be over grabbing with the clamp, pressing too hard here and maybe here. So overall, the hand should be very loose, very relaxed, barely clamping. There's just that much clamp right there, okay? So you might just be over clamping, and then that's going to hurt your shifting. That's going to hurt your vibrato movement ability. So yeah, don't let the thumb kind of influence the hand being tight. Very, very small clamp so that you have that ability to move. Good question. Quite a few people here. I see 85 attendees. That's actually the most we've had ever in a webinar. That's awesome. It's exciting. Maybe it's because we're giving prizes away. Hey, that works. Whatever it takes to get you guys in here to learn and improve, maybe get inspired. Some of you guys maybe have kind of been on a slump of some sort. See that quite often. I'm actually doing a webinar later this month on encouragement. So there's a lot of things that can be said just about how to stay inspired with the violin, kind of seeing the big picture, things that are done, with, like if I have a private student, if they get discouraged, there's a lot of things I say to kind of keep them on track, because they might be thinking they're doing really bad when they're really just not giving it time. They're not allowing for the process to take place, especially a lot of beginners. So I encourage you guys to sign up for that. I'll give the link to that here soon as far as if you guys want to sign up for more webinars this month. All right, and Scott, Katie, I'm just trying to do all the ones that are labeled questions. I'm not going to really be able to kind of sort through all of the other stuff. I'm just going to assume you guys are handling those. But yeah, I see a few more here. Tomas says, any trick for intonation? I like hearing the ring of sympathetic strings. Really, everything that we talked about is going to apply very, very heavily to intonation. So, if you guys have your hand coming in and out, if you're over pressing, if you're not having that hand, loose and over pressing basically to reach that 4, these are all things that are going to make it hard for you guys to play in tune. So definitely everything that we've talked about so far applies very, very heavily to intonation. Good question. Gail asks, is there a space between the base of the first finger and the fingerboard? The base of the first finger. Okay, you might be talking about this, Gail, underneath. So yeah, you definitely don't want the hand to kind of be cradling the neck like this. You don't want to be doing that. That causes more restriction to shift. That causes an extremely high thumb. I think he even needs that promo. He just has huge hands, so his thumb just kind of ends up high. But yeah, you definitely don't want there to be the violin resting here, you want there to be a gap right here, just so the instrument's here, for sure. Good question. Let's see what else we got. Maybe I'll take one more question, then we'll give away some prizes. Let's see. Emmanuel asks, where should your vibrato come from, the wrist or the arm? Yeah, so I'll definitely talk actually more about vibrato here in just a moment. I'm actually doing an entire webinar just on vibrato. That's going to be the last one of this 6-webinar series we're doing this month. But I can definitely kind of just briefly touch on that, Emmanuel. So basically, there's 2 types of vibrato that are proper. The first one is a forearm vibrato, which is basically the forearms moving back and forth. I like to analogize this as if you're golfing, putting, you know, this is your golf putter, and you're kind of moving it back and forth. So you're not doing anything here. You're just letting the whole forearm from the elbow move for vibrato. Okay. The other type that's proper that lots of really good violinists use is a wrist vibrato, where the wrist on down is not really moving. It's just the wrist. I find if you're just starting and you're not sure which one you want to do, I recommend forearm vibrato because I think it's easier to be accurate with it. It's the analogy I give is if you're putting, you wouldn't grab the putter way down on the ground and try to putt, right? You would use the entire shaft for accuracy. Okay. But again, some of the best violinists that I know do a wrist vibrato. And if you're more advanced and you're already doing a wrist vibrato, I wouldn't recommend necessarily changing to a forearm vibrato. I actually do both at times. I do more of a forearm vibrato, which is going to be more. But at times I kind of do more wrist, like that. So the one thing that is definitely universal with violin teachers that is not accurate, Scott and Katie I'm sure would agree, is we shouldn't be moving our finger for vibrato. So that's kind of a cheating way to do it, but it's going to not be good for intonation. It's going to be not good for our hand tensing up. So if you're finding that you're just moving the finger, that's definitely a bad habit that I would try to fix right away. I would not do it, continue to do that if you're doing that. You basically want to pivot the finger on the string and let your finger rock. It looks like the finger is moving, but it's not. It's just rocking based on the forearm or the wrist. So do not slide the finger for sure. All right. There's just a few more people asking. Keep asking questions. I'll get to as many as I can. And yeah, let's do the prize giveaway here. How about that? So I'm going to go ahead and give away all of the sort of smaller prizes right now. So I'm going to give away 3 of the ornaments or cookie cutters. They're harder to see because I have plastic over them, but they're basically music shape. This is a guitar. This is a treble clef, as you can see. So we're giving away prizes if you attend the webinars live. So I'll give away 3 of these. And then I'm going to give away 4 pencils, 4 musical pencils. Look at that. So these are all things we have on our website at Superior Violins, and they don't really fly off the shelves. So, but they're cool stuff. So I'm going to give away 7 prizes. And then later we're going to be doing a violin mug, as I mentioned, and my book. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow Katie to randomly pick 3, and I'm going to pick 2, and then I'm going to have Scott pick 2 people. So if Katie, Scott, if you guys want to kind of scroll through all the names that you see that are here and just kind of close your eyes and pick somebody. If we have a duplicate, we'll manage that. But yeah, technically, if you don't have a list of them, just who's here, just go through the questions and just pick one. And pick 3, Katie, and Scott 2. I'll do 2 as well. So all the ones that Katie picks will be the ornaments, and then all the ones that me and Scott pick we'll do the pencils. So let's do it. Drum roll, please. Mark says, "Pick me, pick me." All right. Cool. As we're doing that, maybe I'll ask you guys a poll as well. It's for fun. I'll do that right after. Okay. All right, so we're picking people here. The pressure's on. Let's see. Scott picks Raleigh and Shelley. Congrats, Raleigh, Shelley. You just won a violin pencil. You can use it on your music stand. You can write in fingerings. A little like bobblehead. Congratulations. Katie picked Sienna and Marcia and Amy. Congrats, guys. Very cool. Congratulations. All right, my turn here. I'm probably going to pick a duplicate. Let's see. We got Cindy, and we got Katie Hedinga. Oh, she doesn't count. Sorry, Katie. I will give you a pencil if you come over, if you want one. Let's see. Last one. Mark. So maybe, is there any duplicates? I don't know. But you guys just won. Congratulations. Pencils and cookie cutter ornaments. Congratulations. All right. So, yeah, we're going to kind of hit the second half of this class right now. I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about vibrato. I'm going to talk about a little bit more advanced concepts with left hand, and hopefully all you guys that are here will get some good information. And then, yeah, we'll take some more questions. I'll try to have a good amount of time for that. Feel free to post your questions. All right. So, yeah, as far as, vibrato goes, left hand obviously is associated heavily with vibrato. Everything that we talked about setting fingers down lightly. We talked about having the hand high, letting fingers spread. Are all very important. Having that perfect 4-step hand positions. Those of you guys that are coming in late, I recommend watching the beginning of this webinar. I kind of went over the 4 steps of the left hand. And all these things heavily affect vibrato. So some of you guys are just struggling to do vibrato because you're doing these things incorrectly. Because what happens is if you overpress, your hand gets really stiff. You're not able to move your hand. If you're overpressing, it's hurting your ability to reach the 4, and it's hurting your ability to vibrato. So your vibrato is going to be more like this instead of flexible. It's going to be more stiff. So if you want that really awesome vibrato that really moves back and forth nicely, it might seem like I'm just putting all this effort, all this strength in, but I'm not at all. I'm actually just doing the fundamentals we talked about, which is having the 4 steps, placing extremely lightly. And what it does, if you don't use the hand to find notes, what happens is everything from here down to here is extremely flexible. So if you were to grab somebody's hand and shake their hand, most of the time, unless they're, wanting to grab your hand hard, most of the time, a nice shake, somebody that's just very friendly with their shake, you can kind of feel their hand. They're not tensing up their hand. They can really feel the meat of the hand. That's what's happening. If you just press very lightly on the fingerboard, this part of the hand is extremely loose. Okay? But what happens if you guys overpress and you're reaching for notes, now this part of the hand is very tense. Okay? And that makes it hard to move. Okay? So a lot of you guys have been playing 5 years, 10 years, I don't care how long you've been playing or how long you've tried vibrato. If you're doing this incorrectly with technique, you can't get a good vibrato. So a lot of you guys, I've seen it so many times that have been playing a long time, they still don't have the vibrato down because they're just not doing the fundamentals properly. So by having your good finger angles, which is basically following the 4 steps, squeezing back for notes, letting the 4 fall down, not overpressing for notes. Now my hand is flexible to be able to move. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I see that all the time as well. I hear students say, I'm too old to do vibrato, right? I can't do it because my hands are rugged and I've done a certain job my whole life or something. And that's just untrue. What you're doing most likely is you're just over pressing. I see that more often with older students is they feel like they have to do more than they should. So it has nothing to do with their hand. It's everything to do with they're not doing the technique. So, even if you have really fat fingers, big hands, it still applies as far as right before the nail, pressing down very lightly, and letting your hand be as flexible as possible. So if you were asleep, okay, literally asleep, okay, there's no tension in your hands, right? No tension. Your hands are just, okay, if I was to grab your hand while you're asleep, okay, how would it feel? Okay, if you're doing something different, so if you're not getting that softness in the hand, that I've basically been talking about, you're going to struggle with vibrato. You're going to struggle with intonation. You're going to struggle with shifting. You're going to struggle with a lot of stuff. So this is huge. Not pressing down into the fingerboard very roughly, huge. All the things that we've talked about so far. So hopefully that gives you guys kind of a perspective on vibrato and how it applies to this. So extra effort is your worst enemy. Doing more than you should is your worst enemy. People that have really vibrant vibrato are not doing more effort. They're just more flexible than you. They're still pressing down like this, but they're flexible, okay? And another one thing that I'll just mention, I know I have a whole other webinar on right hand, but the right hand is also functioning very similarly to the left. Both of our hands should be very, very soft and relaxed. So when I'm holding the bow, I shouldn't be grabbing the bow tight, okay? So if you're grabbing the bow tight, you're most likely grabbing the left hand tight as well. It's very uncommon for me to see students with one relaxed hand and the other one tense. It's mostly one or the other. So if you're doing it properly, both hands are loose. A lot of times, though, it's often that both hands are tense. So that causes bad vibrato. That causes bow bounces, screeches, all this good stuff. Not good stuff, sorry, bad stuff. It makes it hard to bend the wrist. Tension is the violinist's worst enemy. So if you're a UPS driver, I had a UPS driver a couple years ago. So he's used to like grabbing boxes, right, and just like picking them up as hard as he can, as much of a grip as he can. You know, so his violin playing was bouncy bow, screechy bow. So if you guys get any of that, that's everything to do with tension. You guys are just over pressing. It's not a matter of you have only practiced for a couple hours or a couple years. It's that you're not doing this properly. Hopefully that makes sense. So left hand is minimal. Right hand is also very minimal. Okay, so if I was to take, I know I have another webinar on this, but if I was to take your hand and if you just let your hand drop down as naturally as possible, as loose as possible, watch how it barely does. I'm barely doing anything different when I'm holding the bow. Okay, I'm not changing that. Watch. See that? Still have everything relaxed that we've been talking about. I'm not stiffening fingers. Okay. This might be a hard concept for some of you guys though, because you feel like you have to have control of the bow by having fingers stiff or a grab on the bow. Just remember, the violin is holding the instrument. I'll prove it. I don't know if I can do this. Trying to balance it, right? The violin's holding the bow. Why do you need to hold it tight, right? The index guides it along, pushes it back. It's basically acting like a conductor. The front finger. Everything else is extremely loose. So to give you guys an overall what's happening with the violin, minimal pressure, everything loose here, only the index is what's really working. Okay, but what are you guys mostly doing? Stiffening fingers, grabbing and overreaching. This is not the way concerto in G looks like. Concerto in G looks like this. I'm actually doing it. I'm playing Suzuki Book 10, Mozart Concerto in G right now. Okay, I'm showing you minimal pressure and loose hand. I'm doing it right now. Nothing here, right? So this might be a tough concept for some of you guys. Even some of you guys have been playing 5, 10, 20 years even. I see it all the time. Tension management is huge, and it's very common if you don't take private lessons that you do have a lot of tension that's causing some problems. So hopefully after this webinar, you guys kind of know what it is maybe you need to start working more on. All right, well, let me wrap it up with just like questions. I feel like there's quite a few right now I could go through. I'm going to do that till about 8:55, and then we'll do a grand prize giveaway. And everybody that's here will have 500 more entries for the contest. I'm giving away a Vitali violin later this month, and anybody that enters has a chance to win. But anybody that comes to these classes, we're doing 6 of these classes all month. Every class that you come to, you're going to get 500 entries. So like you could technically get 3,000 entries, and there's only going to be so many people that come to every class. Hopefully you guys do. But yeah, you're going to have a much higher chance to win the violin that way. So kind of wanted to incentivize you guys that want to win a violin. All right, let's see if I can find some questions. Joanne asks, is it true you should feel the vibration of the string when playing the notes? It's a good question. Not really. I mean, you sort of do. I mean, you want to have enough clamp on the instrument, the chin, shoulder, grabbing the violin enough to where you should never be able to have somebody take the violin away from you. Okay, so try to actually do this at home. Set up playing normally and have your spouse or your friend randomly try to grab your instrument away from you. They shouldn't be able to do that. And if you have that much of a clamp like you should on the instrument, right here, it's going to sort of limit the vibration a little bit to where you're not getting like a big buzz or whatever. But technically, if you look down from this angle, you're going to see the string vibrating. But yeah, I wouldn't really focus on that as anything important to for practicing. Just work on getting minimal contact into the strings like we talked about, and then everything should sort of take care of itself. But maybe that does help you as far as understanding that you should have more of a clamp here on the instrument, so somebody can sort of help you with that. All right, let's see what else we got. Raina asks, how to relax my hand when doing vibrato in different positions, such as passages that require going high, either low on the fingerboard. Yeah, so everything that we talked about today, as far as the left hand, applies as well in other positions. Okay, a lot of people, what happens, if they shift, they dip the hand down to shift. They kind of start here and they dip. Okay, a lot of times that happens if you have E string notes. It's more comfortable to sort of be out away from the fingerboard instead of being up and tucking. Okay, because the hand should not move. The hand should not pop in and out. It's all tucking. If I have E string. So E string's more like this and G string's more out. So that's how you adjust going from G to E string, not coming in and out. That applies as well in higher positions, even more vital in higher positions, because if you've ever seen a guitar, you see that the spacings of each note is rather big in first position, but it gets smaller and smaller as you go up the instrument. It's the same concept on the violin. So, first position goes from here to here. In third position, it goes from here to here. It gets smaller. See that? So by the time you reach a higher position, it's much, much smaller. So it takes that much more accuracy where your fingers are literally just falling down into the fingerboard. Otherwise, if you have that extra variable with a hand, it's going to be almost impossible to play it really well in tune. So all that can be practiced with scales. Just watching your hand move up and down and not dip. Practice a G major 3-octave scale, and as you shift, make sure the hand stays high. Make sure you don't shift like that. See that? Stay high. Keep everything the same that we've talked about. The thumb and the finger should shift together. Don't let the thumb hang back. That's going to make it challenging as you shift back to first position. You're not going to be as accurate. So the thumb and the one, they move together, kind of like a capo on a guitar. Your thumb and your first finger are sort of a capo. That makes sense if you play guitar. So yeah, I hope that helps. Craig says, should the fourth finger be curved or straight? Great question. Okay, so this is a little bit on the controversial side, I would say, the way that I explain this. So Scott, Katie, you guys might explain this differently. But my 1, 2, 3 should be extremely high as far as my knuckles. You see how high my knuckles are right there? Okay. My 4 is going to be flatter, just because this is the way the hand works. Ideally, though, we want the 4 to be curved as much as possible. But what I emphasize to beginners is to have the 4 as flat as possible, because the worst thing that can happen is you're trying to curve the 4 too much. And watch what happens when I do that. My finger angles shift when I try to curve the 4 too much. So I only recommend doing a really nice curved fourth finger when you've been playing longer and you know for sure that you're not restricting your hand and you're keeping a good hand position. So, but I originally teach it that way, where the 4 is flatter, kind of on the tip of the string. And I emphasize just for the student to play that 4 in tune, as much as possible. And then once they're very accurate and not having any trouble at all, then I encourage more of the curve, more of the 4 to get curved and higher. But still, it's going to be lower than the others, you can see. So this is kind of the way I start teaching it. And then eventually, more ideally, it's going to be like that. Good question. All right, let's see what else we got. I hope Scott and Katie, who are Superior Violins teachers, are answering all your questions, and looks like they certainly are. I'm not able to sort of read through all the comments, everything going on here, but I'm able to see your questions and cover all the topics I wanted to cover, and then obviously do the giveaway. So, but yeah, for those of you guys that have additional questions after today that maybe didn't get answered, I recommend that you guys visit our website. It's actually me, Katie, and Scott that answer the live chat on our website at superiorviolins.com. And anytime you chat with us, if we're not there, it will send us a message in our CRM, and we get back to you as soon as we can. So yeah, if you didn't get anything answered today, or you have additional questions about technique or anything that we have available on our website, feel free to reach out and live chat us anytime. But yeah, we're going to try to get through as many as we can here. So Barbara asks, my left hand is stiff from a 2006 stroke. What do you recommend for better reaching and finger placement? Yeah, I think everything that we talked about today, Barbara, is sort of like the meat and potatoes of really doing these things properly. You know, the thing I showed as far as the low 1-4 is a good tester. Ultimately, though, yeah, working on these things with scales is really, really helpful with left hand. There's a lot more drills that I give with right hand, but with left hand, it's more just working on scales and then segmenting hands to where you're really trying to get the hand to stay high, to not build bad habits. A lot of bad habits can form. The top three, I would say, are bad finger angles, low hand, and I would say opening up the hand for the E string and not tucking fingers in. So a lot of you guys might just be doing these things even if you've been playing a while. So I would just recommend watching your hand. You know, if you have I wouldn't recommend playing a really tough piece trying to work on this, because then you're working too much on other things and thinking about other things. You know, maybe take a easier piece and maybe even don't even use the bow, just pluck the piece and try to keep that left hand solid. You know, maybe do that for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day. You know, just practicing your piece, you know. You know, even if you've been playing 4 years, don't take shame in practicing plucking and working on left hand. So you see how I'm not moving that hand? I'm just keeping everything compact and simple. So right there, when I go to the E string for Danny Boy, a lot of you guys are doing this. See that? I'm opening the hand up and coming back. And you might even be able to play it in tune that way, but you're building a really bad habit to when you have to do stuff more advanced. So all the things that we're talking about, you might say, well, I'm playing the piece fine. I got it. I'm setting you guys up for the long term, you know, because all you guys, I'm sure, want to be able to play, you know, more advanced music and progress and keep, you know, improving. What's going to happen if you don't, you know, really emphasize and focus on technique? What's going to happen is you're going to kind of plateau. Like you're going to keep going up, and maybe you're getting a few songs learned, but then all of a sudden you can't learn that next level. Like when you start to shift, or when you start to really do some tough, you know, slur patterns, crossovers, you're going to plateau because you're not focusing on it. You know, this applies to if you're just starting or been playing 5, 10, 20, 27 years. You have to keep working on technique to keep that going this way at the best possible rate. I've seen students that were with me for 6 months, and every day, every lesson, I was like a hound dog on their technique. I was so wanting their technique to be perfect as much as they can. And some students don't really do everything you tell them to do, right? But if they do it, if they actually apply the drills and do everything scales and just really emphasize all that stuff, they're able to like play stuff that somebody that's been playing 5, 10 years can play because they have perfect technique. On the other side of that, somebody that's maybe been in orchestra for 10 years that comes to me for a lesson, they have all these bad habits. All these things are not working and doing properly. So they are going to be playing more at the 2-year level or 3-year level or worse. And the whole lesson is just about fixing one bad habit, which takes tons of time. So that's why it's so important to build that foundation as soon as you can. So technically, those that are just starting or haven't started have optimal potential. Like they can set up that technique perfectly. It's going to be a little bit harder if you have bad habits, but on the good side of that, everybody can fix a bad habit. It just takes practice. So yeah, hopefully you guys have identified some of those bad habits today. If you have any, you should have some, I'm sure. Everybody, for the most part, has at least one or two bad habits. All right, let's see what else we got. And then we're going to be giving away prizes. Yay, yay, yay. We got quite a few people here. We have 75 still with us. And I'm sure we'll have a lot of people watching post-webinar as far as the recording and stuff. So yeah, we will be emailing you guys a video of this webinar, so you can watch it later in your spare time, and kind of if there's anything that you want to go over or you missed part of the class, you can certainly watch it at that time. I did a couple other polls here. Let me quick just go through those, and then I'll answer a few more questions. So I did this one earlier. So yeah, what is your biggest struggle with the left hand right now? Is it your ability to play fast, vibrato, intonation, reading music, shifting, or all the above? Kind of curious what all you guys have been struggling with the most. We kind of covered briefly on most of those, except for reading music. For those of you guys that want to learn how to read music, we have, I actually have a really good website that's awesome for learning all the basics, kind of from the very start to about 2 or 3 years experience. That's violintutorpro.com. I have tutorials how to read music, and everything that you need to learn sort of the basics of playing violin. It comes with sheet music and just kind of goes through everything that you need to know. Covers a lot of things that we've talked about today, but just at the very beginner level. So if you found anything sort of complex and too much, my series goes really sequential. And again, that's at violintutorpro.com. Scott, Katie, if you don't mind posting a link for that, that'd be cool. For those that are kind of more beginner, just starting, that never played. That's a really good resource for that. All right, so yeah, it looks like we have a kind of across the road everything. Ability to play too fast is sort of the most, but everything is sort of has votes, and then all the above has the most. So yeah, so hopefully just all the tips today are going to help each of those areas that you guys have been struggling with. It certainly should. Cool. Let's see what else we got. Thumbs up if you're ready to win a violin mug and a My Fiddle for Dummies book. Thumbs up. All right. So we're going to give these away as grand prizes today, just because you guys decided to come today. And also everybody that's here is going to earn 500 entries for our contest. So everybody's sort of going to be a winner in that way. All right. I have a few more polls here. Just kind of curious. How do you currently work on your left hand? Just kind of curious. I should have maybe asked this earlier, but I did this poll. I'm kind of curious to see where you guys are at. Are you practicing? And there's actually just a quick little tip I can give related to this poll. But if you're not sure, you've never been playing, probably not sure. Drills, repetition, and then splitting up the hands. That's interesting. Good. Okay, so here's my little tip related to this question. We have 65% of people said practicing repetition. I think a lot of students don't do as well as students that take private lessons, as far as students that only learn on the internet. A big reason for that is because they feel like when they practice, all they have to do is just keep playing, keep doing stuff, keep practicing. If I just keep doing it, I'm going to get it. Hopefully after today's lesson, today's webinar, you guys sort of got the sense that there's a lot more to it. It's not just about repetition. It's also about doing the right things, and doing things like splitting up the hands is really big, doing drills like we talked about. But yeah, I kind of asked this question because I actually figured most of you guys were going to say practicing and repetition. And some of you guys answering that have been playing longer might be fine. I'm not saying, but especially those, I would say about 50% of people, students that I've had over the years, they just over practice. They don't practice properly. Not over practice. They don't practice the way they should. So I hope after today, just you guys are encouraged to do some more things, watching yourself play, really focusing on left hand, not assuming that you have it down if you've been playing a while. Like, you know, as pieces get tougher, things are going to sort of suffer. So hopefully after today, you guys got a good sense of, you know, maybe a few more different things you can be doing. Cool. All right. I guess I didn't get to all the questions. Let's see. Yeah, if you guys did not get your question answered, I encourage you guys to visit Superior Violins. I will actually try to stick around for another 20 minutes or so and try to answer as many as I can here in just a moment after the giveaway. So if you didn't get it answered, there's a chance that you might still get it answered. But yeah, I encourage you guys to visit Superior Violins and live chat us, you know, if there's anything else you guys have want to ask questions about. All right, drum roll, please. Scott, Katie, drum roll. Forte, drum roll. All right, here we go. We're going to give away the violin mug first. Scott, let's have you do it. So you're going to pick a random winner of the violin mug. So if you like drinking coffee or anything else, it's a very nice violin mug. It's one of my favorites. So yeah, we're going to pick a random winner here for the violin mug. Scott is going to pick it. Scott is our Violin Tutor Pro and Superior Violins manager. He handles all of the sort of incoming inquiries for instruments and bows, as well as handles customer service. Katie does more billing, does more social media. Ultimately, we all answer questions, and we work, you know, really well as a team. But yeah, Scott, Katie do more viola and violin as well. I do kind of more violin and viola as well. So yeah, let's see. Scott, drum roll, please. All right. Did he already pick a winner? Scott. Maybe he did. I'm going through. Oh, already was picked. All right, Pamela, Denise. Yay, clap. Applause. Congratulations, Pamela. You just won the violin mug. Cheers to you. Very cool. All right, and we have a grand prize. So I'm giving away my Fiddle for Dummies book. So yeah, in 2013, I wrote this book. It's basically a 350-page resource. The whole first half of the book emphasizes technique. So everything that we've been talking about today is certainly in this book. And the second half is more how to play the fiddle, which the violin and the fiddle are the same instrument. It just differs in how it's played. So yeah, it's a great resource. And we're giving it away here right now. So I'll sign it and give it away to whoever gets picked. So let's have Katie draw the Fiddle for Dummies book. All right, drum roll. Forte. Oh. Drum roll. Katie picks Madison. Yay, Madison. Congratulations. You have just won. Thumbs up. Congratulations. Cool. Awesome. That's exciting. Okay, so awesome. So let me go ahead and give you guys a few links here as far as ability to get the entries that we talked about, the 500 entries. Everybody wins that. So we're all winners here that are here live. And I'm sticking around afterwards. Scott, Katie might not. They said they'd be here till 9, but I will be around. And I have a few links here for you guys to get those entries. So let me go ahead and post those. Yeah, let me actually first give you guys a link to my webinar sign-up page. So if you guys enjoyed the class, hopefully you did, I will be doing 5 more webinars this month. And they're all going to be covering topics, right-hand technique, vibrato, encouragement, give you guys encourage words as far as progression, fiddle, and then there's one more. I think I missed it earlier too. But yeah, there's 5 classes I'm organizing at different times this month. So I'm going to give you guys a link to that right now. It's basically the webinar sign-up page. And technically, it's a link through the contest. So a lot of you guys are here through the contest. And if you attend any webinar, you have basically you'll win 500 entries. which is what you guys are going to get here in just a second. So that's a link there. If you want to click on that and kind of save that to your browser favorites or whatever, you can sign up for all of those if you want. I did a little promo kind of explaining each class. And technically, if you sign up but you can't make it, you'll still get a replay link later on. So certainly, but yeah, if you attend live, you actually get the actual code, which everybody that watches the replay won't get the code. But yeah, so we're definitely trying to encourage you guys to show up live, as then you can actually win prizes as you did today. All right, that was that. Let me now give you guys a link to the contest, and here comes the code. So there it is. I can't say it out loud, as then it would defeat the purpose of coming live. But yeah, if you can take that code that I just posted right there and put that into the contest. So put in your email address as you did for the contest, as usual. I'll also do a screen share right now just to kind of show you guys how that looks. So here comes a screen share just to show you guys the contest here. So yeah, this is the webinar, or the Vitali Violin contest. We're giving away the Vitali Violin on August 29th. And if you click on that link I just sent you guys, you should end up somewhere in this area. And then, yeah, basically you can do different things to earn entries. So right here, the first thing that you can do is complete a questionnaire. So right here, we click to enter the questionnaire. And once you fill out the questionnaire, that will trigger the ability for you guys to get more entries, which is what I'm showing you right now. So if I click here, I'm redirected to a little survey that I can fill out. It's just going to ask you a few questions. So, you know, what's your email? And then I have a video kind of explaining different violins. And based on how you answer this question, I'm going to sort of send you emails of, you know, explaining more about instruments that we have available, different programs we have. So yeah, you can sort of choose any of the three. So if you're interested maybe in violins under 1,000, you know, we're definitely going to tell you more about those. Instruments more from the 1,000 to 3,000 range. Those are really great on our website. And then, yeah, maybe you're looking for a European violin over 3. You can answer that, option C, and then we'll tell you more about our European line, which is going to be totally different than our less expensive instruments. So that's that. And then here is kind of nice. You guys can ask any questions here, and we're trying to get through these as much as we can. We have tons and tons of questions that have come in, but certainly if you do post it at some point in the next 3 or 4 days, I would say we'd be able to answer your question related to the contest or anything else. So I don't have anything right now. And then by doing this survey, now after clicking here, our contest knows that you filled it out, and I have a little screenshot of where you have to go. But basically, you just click at the very bottom here to return to the contest page. And then now our contest knows that you filled it out. So now you click here, kind of like you did earlier, but it's the continue button. So now it's going to open up all these different ways to enter the contest. So technically, yeah, listening to the Vitali and, you know, subscribing to our Facebook. But if you see here, it says attended the webinar class. So if you click on that, you can put the code that I gave you guys here just a few minutes ago, and that's going to give you guys 500 entries. We'll know that you fill it out. And actually, I just remember something. I didn't actually verify the code yet, so it's not going to work until I verify it. Let me do that right now or right after this. So those of you guys that are trying to put in the code but it's not working, just give me about a few minutes here. I'll verify the code by going into my back end. But yeah, once you guys do that, it should validate it, and then you'll get the 500 entries. So yeah, and then there's other ways to enter and get entries, like visiting different videos on our YouTube channel. We have a very good series of videos on our Violin Tutor Pro YouTube channel. I have over 1,000 videos on YouTube. So these are our actual lesson videos. So we have beginner lessons, intermediate lessons, and advanced. These are all free lessons. So I recommend gaining entries just by visiting these videos and learning and having a basically higher chance to win. So you guys can do that. And then, yeah, there's what else? Other ways to enter. Referring friends. So if you want to get a friend to maybe pop in and join, you'll gain 50 entries for that. So yeah, it's kind of just a fun way to encourage you guys to learn and attend more webinars that Scott and Katie are going to be attending. So I'll give Scott and Katie a hand. I believe they're still here. Thank you so much, Scott and Katie, for being here and just helping and answering questions. I'm sure you guys answered a ton of questions. It looks like some of you guys didn't get the screen share. Okay. Okay. Sorry if those of you guys didn't get the screen share. Let me go ahead and try that again in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and log in to the contest and make sure I can get you guys as far as the entries for the code to work. Just give me a second for that. We'll get it all figured out here. So yeah, that's basically the reason is I haven't validated the code yet. Just be a second. Should have done that beforehand. Sorry, guys. Here. A moment. But yeah, I'm really glad that all you guys came today. Hopefully, you guys decide to come to future webinars. That page I sent you guys earlier, you can access through the contest. At the very bottom of the contest, you'll see a link to get to that again. But ultimately, if you have any questions or any problems, you can live chat us anytime at Superior Violins. So if there's any issues you're having, you can always talk with us. So let's see, I got to verify the code. And by the way, also for any of you guys that are watching from YouTube, thank you guys for watching. We did stream this live on YouTube. So thank you so much, all you guys that are watching from there. All right, let's see. Validate. Code. Here we go. But that should maybe do it. Let's see. All right, if you guys want to try it now, again, that are trying to get the 500 entries, I just went ahead and validated it, hopefully. I'll actually try it myself here. Yep, it worked. I think. Yep, it did. Cool. Okay, so that should work now. And then I'll do another screen share just so you guys can see that didn't maybe see the screen share earlier. Don said it works now. Good. Thanks, guys. Sorry for the delay there. So yeah, thanks so much, Scott, for coming, and Katie. That was awesome, just being here and answering questions. I'm kind of going through the chat right now, and there's just tons and tons of questions and answers. So let's give them a hand, everybody that's here. Kevin mentions he has not seen the code. Let me just put the code back on the screen real quick. So I'm putting that on the side. And if you have any problems, again, you can live chat us at Superior Violins website, superiorviolins.com. There's a little code or a little live chat button in the bottom right corner of your desktop. And you can chat with either me, Katie, or Scott. All right, so here is the code again, just in case some of you guys are coming in a little bit late. So you just click, you can basically see the code right there below the picture. It says enter code blank, earn 500 entries. So that's the code. So hopefully you guys see that right now that maybe are confused on that. And it should work as far as clicking that link. And it should be good from there. So cool. Yeah, great question. So anybody that won prizes today, go ahead and email michael@superiorviolins.com to be able to claim your prize, and include your address and your name and address and what you won. So name, address, and then if you want a pencil or if you want the book or whatever else you want, go ahead and email again, michael@superiorviolins.com if you want a prize tonight. I just saw Sienna ask that. Cool. All right, so hopefully you guys got the code. Let me just kind of go through the contest again. If you guys didn't get the screen share earlier, let me just do that. That might maybe work now for you guys, hopefully. So I'm sharing my screen. So you can access this through the contest, but yeah, it basically has all the dates of the classes we're doing this month. So we have, the next one is Saturday at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be doing right hand technique. And if you sign up, if you can't make that time, if you have something planned for Saturday night, not to worry. If you sign up, you'll get a webinar replay link. But you do have to attend live to get the entries, technically. So, all right. And then this is the contest. So you can access this if you go to superiorviolins.com. Technically, in the very top of the website, you'll see the contest page link up here. But I just gave you guys the link a second ago too. But yeah, basically, it's going to ask you different questions, and there's different ways to gain entries. So technically, we were talking earlier about the validation, putting the code in here that I gave you guys for coming today for the live class. And then you can also do things like listen to the Vitali violin. I did a video on that. To gain 10 entries, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit our videos on YouTube. So technically, you can learn violin on my YouTube channel. I have beginner lessons, intermediate lessons, and also advanced. So if you liked some of the instruction today, you can certainly gain entries that way, and sure that you'll find some interesting stuff. I've done a lot of videos since 2009. I have over 1,000 videos, so quite a few things you guys can check out on there. I also have a Superior Violins playlist, so if you guys want to learn more about our instruments and programs, there's a series of videos you can watch there, and you can gain entries that way as well. And then what else do we got? We have referring friends and asking a question, visiting the website. So yeah, I would just recommend you guys save this or whatever and come back here and there and just kind of build up your entries. So it gives you a higher chance to win the Vitali. Awesome. Okay, well, hopefully the screen share worked that time. Anybody that's here right now, we probably have, still 47 of you are here. So yeah, maybe go through a few more questions. Scott and Katie, I'm not sure if they're going to stick around, but if not, thanks, Scott, Katie, for being here. And yeah, all three of us are sort of the Superior Violins team that work on answering questions for students. And we're all very passionate about teaching and also helping students through the process of finding quality instruments for sale. We carry violin, cellos, violas, bows, you name it. So if you have any interest in any of that, you can certainly live chat us on the website or browse the website to kind of learn more about what we have. And yeah, after the contest or even before, you could do a trial on a violin or any other instrument. And basically the way it works with our trial program is we allow you to try out any instrument from our website for 30 days. And that allows you to really see for yourself the quality levels. So like everything that we have in different price ranges is really, really good and very comparable to a lot of different instruments that are out there on different websites and stuff. So yeah, like for example, our Vitali that we're giving away, I've actually sent that to Mark O'Connor, one of the best fiddle players in the world. And he highly regards the instrument and is considering using it as one of his line of instruments. So yeah, we just worked really hard and really highly emphasize quality of instruments, and it really does really well when we send them out on trial. And we always take feedback and critique and just kind of really been improving it over the years. So yeah, we actually have a new luthier that just started with us too. He is awesome. So Katie actually got to meet him, and then Scott met him via video chat. But yeah, he's doing a really good job at just getting it even to that next level, like our quality of instruments. So yeah, if you're any bit interested in kind of upgrading, we do trade-ins. Ultimately, if you do like a trial from us, and you can see for yourself, bring it to the teacher and, just interact with us and ask us questions. If you're looking for a particular type of sound, maybe something that's really bright, maybe something that's really rich. The quality of your instrument makes a huge difference in your ability to produce a good sound. So maybe if it's not an instrument, maybe it's a bow. Maybe you're looking at bows. Maybe you're playing on something really cheap right now and you're looking to maybe upgrade to something nicer. We offer, really nice Pernambuco bows, carbon fiber, at every price level. So like if you're looking in the sort of higher range, our German bows are excellent. Scott owns one. Katie almost is going to get one for themselves for their own playing. And they're really, really nice. They go really well with our Damiano violin, which is our best instrument, sort of in that 3,000 range. And everything above that works awesome with our German bows. So I've done some videos actually on the website. If you kind of browse around, you'll see a lot of demonstration videos on violins, on bows, so you can actually listen to the comparisons. And then we're here to help when you have any questions. So, all right, let me see if there's any other questions and kind of what's happening here. So Katie says, happy to meet everybody here today. It was awesome seeing everybody here today. I'm so happy that we had 85 people. That is awesome. Very good crowd today. So looks like Katie's still hanging out and kind of helping people through any questions. Very good. Sienna asked you to suggest any method books. Yeah, I definitely like the Essential Element books. I like Suzuki books. I use that for teaching. I don't know, Katie, if you want to say what you recommend. I like a lot the Whistler books, like for third position. I like Introduction to Third Position. I like etudes like Mazza's. I like etudes like Sit is good for like working fourth and sixth positions. I really like Wolfart's as like a sort of star level etude book. All the Wolfart books are really good. And then, yeah, if you're more advanced, I'm sure you've heard of Kreutzer. Kreutzer is the ultimate violin studies book for working the higher position and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's a great question. Let's see what else we got here. Sylvester asks, what would you suggest, like, for people that do self-studies? So is it hard for me? No one's telling me what I did wrong or I've done wrong. Yeah, it's much harder to really progress when you're trying to teach yourself. I mean, really, like coming to this webinar, Sylvester, is a huge help, I think, to sort of kind of put that into the front of your mind, the importance of technique. But ultimately, to actually get somebody giving you feedback is much more beneficial. So I highly recommend private lessons in finding a teacher that is fundamentally sound. That's really important. But yeah, if you're not able to do that, if you sort of live out in the boondocks, like a lot of students that I've interacted with, I think just following the steps and the tips I gave today, I would come to more webinars this month and just write stuff down, keep the recordings to where you can come back and watch them later. Trying to cover sort of all the basics, of everything you should be thinking about that applies to all levels. So yeah, but yeah, if you're not taking private lessons, I would highly consider it. If you do live sort of out in the middle of nowhere, you could consider doing Skype lessons. I know Katie's done Skype lessons. I've done Skype lessons. That's sort of a nice option to sort of get that nice broad perspective of like what bad habits you might have, stuff like that. So great. Going through and trying to find any more questions here. Everybody seems to have had a good time. I appreciate everybody being here that decided to come. Again, Saturday is our next webinar. So if you want to come Saturday, you can sign up through the webinar sign-up page. I'll just post that link one more time. So you can sign up for as many webinars as you want. And basically, the webinars are going to cover different topics. So our next topic on Saturday is going to be right hand. So here's the link to that, just in case you haven't gotten that yet. But technically, this is a link through the contest that you can access. But there it is, just in case for you guys. Cool. Sylvester says, very expensive to have a private teacher here. Yes, that's sort of the con to private lessons is, it's kind of can be costly. I would recommend at least like a monthly lesson for those that are sort of concerned about the financial aspect of it. I think one lesson a month goes a really long ways, even if it's once every other month. They can kind of put you in that box, that perspective of like, what are the biggest bad habits? And I would go to the teacher, that you're seeing maybe every once in a while and really emphasize technique. Like ask them, what do they see as far as like the top 3 or 4 or 5 bad habits? If you just go to the lesson and just kind of get one concept learned, that's not going to be as beneficial if you're doing only one lesson here and there. So try to really get it to where you have a list of things that you need to work on, and ask them maybe, what drills do you think are good for these particular bad habits? Just different things, and just kind of get that game plan sort of. I think students that don't go into the lessons with that approach, they might not get a good experience that's going to be most beneficial if they don't take that technique approach. Some teachers might sort of see a student as not wanting to learn as much technique, or they sort of see it as being a thing that they'll teach later. I wouldn't let that happen. I would right from the start. That's sort of the most beneficial thing about seeing private teachers is getting that technique, in my opinion, getting that technique advice. So Sheldon says, I'm registered for all the webinars, but I don't know my work schedule. Will I still get a link to the videos if I can't make it? Yes, everybody that registers for all the webinars will get reminder links as well as a webinar replay about 3 hours after the class. So for those of you guys that just are interested in the topics but can't make it, you're still going to be able to watch them. But technically, to get the 500 entries, we are asking for you guys to come live to interact and kind of be social, and you can also win prizes that way. So, but technically, if you can only attend a few, that's still 1,000 entries, so it's a lot. But yeah, put them all in your calendar, and maybe you can come to more than that. So I try to put them at different times, sort of give people options and stuff like that. So. Kay says, ABCs of Violin is another good one, another good book. Yes, that is a good book. There's a lot of good basic books out there. I just tend to prefer the essential elements. I think it's just kind of a teacher preference thing more. Really, you can teach basic violin out of anything that's, out of the main books out there. So, yeah, good questions. Carney says, are those book series recommendations on the website? Carney, I actually have a lot of good blog articles at violintutorpro.com. I was mentioning that earlier as a really good resource if you guys are interested in sort of like a sequential series of lessons. But I also have a lot of good blog articles at violintutorpro.com, including one on sort of like the books I recommend with links. Katie, I don't know if you're able to find that. It's basically just, all the blog articles that are on the home page, if you want to see if you can post that link. But yeah, it's, if we can't find it now, it's somewhere in there. But yeah, it's a good resource for good blog articles and stuff like that I've written and our team has written. So yeah. Did you guys enjoy the class? Any feedback? Are you going to come to more? Let's hear some, for those that are still here right now. Would love to sort of, you guys are the mega fans, right? So out of the 80 that first came, there's 30 people still here. That's really cool. Let us know what you thought of the class. And if you're going to come to more, if you're going to participate in the contest. Pamela says, thumbs up. Thanks, Pam. Sheldon, great class. Thank you, Sheldon. Appreciate it. Sienna, thank you. Joshua says, would you recommend starting to learn with an expensive violin first or better sound? Great question, Josh. So I highly recommend at least the Vitali to students to start. Katie probably can give some feedback on this as well. So many students start on really cheap instruments that get online, and it's sort of a nice thought because like, hey, I want to make sure I like the violin. But what happens is it's so hard to play those violins that they end up sort of getting frustrated and overwhelmed. So I did actually like a little research, like based on my experience with all my students, and like almost 75% of people that started on a cheap violin ended up quitting, compared to only 25% that started on a nice instrument. So what I recommend is starting on a nicer instrument, just doing like a payment plan, you know, to where you're not just paying up front for a whole Vitali, but, you know, working out a deal with us to where you're getting into a nice instrument from the start. But yeah, I mean, I try to, you know, emphasize even higher than the Vitali for even beginners, because the better the violin, the better it's going to sound, the better richness of sound, the easier it is to play across the strings, you know, just the overall tone is more inspiring. And, you know, being that you can do like a rent-to-own thing, you know, it's much better to just play on a better instrument. You're going to be more inspired. It's going to be easier to play. You're going to progress faster. So yeah, I recommend like the Damiano to most students that are just starting. But I've even had students go higher than that to start. You know, that's harder for some people to do, but it's definitely going to improve and help your playing tremendously. So Gail says, Michael, thank you for talking about tomorrow, or the importance of left hand. I will start practicing that without the bow. Hopefully it will help my fourth finger. Yes, Gail, hopefully the tips helped. Gail is a follower. She's been following us for quite a while and owns one of our instruments. And I appreciate you, Gail, commenting there. Hopefully you'll get that fourth finger down. Actually, I did one more poll I'll do real quick. Technically only will be for you guys that are still here. But how long have you been following? I have the feeling most of you guys that are here, maybe a while. I know Gail will be over 4 years, I think, Gail. So yeah, I've had a YouTube channel since 2009. I started Superior Violins in 2012. So, but yeah, so technically I've had my violin presence online now for yeah, about 8 years. In 2013, I wrote the book, the Fiddle for Dummies book. And then, yeah, this last year I got Scott and Katie on the team. And yeah, we really enjoy helping others and working kind of from the instructional perspective of helping students, you know, helping them learn and then providing really good quality products and instruments, stuff like that. So we have 18% people are new that are still here. Thank you. I encourage you to reach out on the website and just live chat and say hello, ask anything. Maybe you don't have an instrument. Maybe you don't have any idea what you should be doing. Don't feel overwhelmed. We're here to help. So thank you for being here. Looks like we got quite a few, kind of in the 3 to 12 month range. Very good. Yeah, and then we have even some people, it looks like 25% or so have been following for over a couple of years. So thank you guys for being so loyal and you know, part of our presence online. We really appreciate you. One thing I encourage you guys to do, I should have done this earlier, but basically we have a really great adult learners group on Facebook. I'm going to post the link. But basically this adult learners Facebook group is awesome. We have about 3,000 members, and Katie, Scott, and me, we all, I don't post as much as I am going to start posting. But Scott and Katie are always posting as teachers, and then we have a huge community of a lot of adults that learn, that are interested in improving. So I encourage you guys to follow, to actually get on this adult learners page on Facebook. Group/adult violin learners. So that's a really good resource. You can post, you can see comments, you can just interact with our community. So that's a really good group that we check often, and that's kind of our really good way to keep touch with everybody. So let's see what else we got here. Thanks, Flip. Thanks for coming. Have a great evening. Thanks, Sylvester. Thanks for saying it was a great class. Carney says, I need a violin. Well, if you decide to work with us, you know, we're very flexible, and you can definitely count on us to give you a great experience with anything lesson related as well as product related, for sure, Carney. Joshua says, thanks a ton. You're welcome. Cool. Still got quite a few people here. Colin says, I don't post much on the group on Facebook, but it's definitely a great motivator. Yes, absolutely. Sylvester says, I really want to have a good violin. I bought mine through a Chinese luthier. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of different places to buy instruments. I certainly will never say that ours is the only place that are going to give you a good experience. We do the trial program just because we think, ours really does well in comparison to many others out there. And then we try to kind of be exceptional with the smaller team of people that actually play violin and viola. As far as the three of us, we can really focus on quality customer service. And, we have long conversations with each of you just about like exactly the type of sound you're looking for, the type of bow, cello, viola, you name it. So, yeah, I encourage you guys, to certainly browse around. I mean, you don't have to work with us, but certainly if you're looking to do like a comparison between maybe a violin you have right now that's $3,000, we have some really great instruments in that price range as well as others, and we could ship one out and you can compare it to the one you have now. So that's very common. We really don't sell a lot like directly on the website. We sell more through doing a trial, and we just ask you for like a small deposit to be able to send it to you. And then from there, you can have it for 30 days and send it back if you don't like it. So Zillum says, thanks for the class. I hope I win the contest. I hope you do too. Good luck to you. Good luck to everybody. Source says, how you can determine what you bought is a good violin. Yeah, I've done a lot of videos on that, Sylvester. So, working with a good shop obviously helps because you can kind of count on different price ranges being, quality. But yeah, I mean, if you're specifically looking for a specific type of sound, like a really rich violin in a certain price range, we're going to make a recommendation to you. If you're looking for something over $3,000, like a really nice European violin, and you specifically want something that's really colorful, really, really vibrant, really, really deep, rich, then we're going to make a certain recommendation. Maybe you're looking for a soloist instrument, something that's going to really be bright and really project out to the audience. Then we're going to make a different recommendation, maybe the strings as well. But yeah, I mean, if you're just starting, like I mentioned, there's, sort of that starter level, which I think is Vitali. And then from there, there's different stuff. You could try out, say, a Vitali along with maybe just one just above that price, and then see if it makes a big enough difference, and bring it to your teacher and see what she says or whatever. That's pretty common too. But yeah, as far as knowing what's good, the teacher is going to be able to tell you for sure. You're going to be able to tell right away the difference. I don't have many beginners even that say, oh, I can't tell the difference between a cheap violin and a nice handcrafted instrument. The difference between like the Vitali and like a cheap violin on, I won't say websites, but like a $200 violin from so-and-so website is going to be substantial, even if you're just starting. So let's see what else. Shelly says, I just joined your Facebook group. Thank you for all that you do. Thanks for the webinar. Thanks, Scott and Katie. Absolutely. I'm glad that you enjoyed them as well, Shelly. Thank you for coming. Sienna says, is the Fiddler Shop carbon bow good? Mine's leaning to the side and I'm having a hard time bowing straight. As far as the bow staying straight or not, the only thing that could be is if the bow is warped. So if you're looking down the shaft and it actually has a warp to it, this bow is not warped, but if you look down, that can cause the bow to sort of tilt and not be, not make it as easy as it should be to play across the strings. So that's an issue. I would try to return that bow potentially if you got it from them. But the actual, if you have a good bow, you should be able to keep it straight by applying techniques. I don't know their bow specifically, Sienna. I know carbon bows are better for outdoor gigs, outdoor playing. It's better for sort of, if you're scared of Pernambuco as far as breaking, it's more of a delicate wood. But I actually recommend more wood bows. I think they're just so much better. It'd be a better investment, in my opinion, to go with a wood bow over a carbon fiber. But yeah, I don't know the quality level of what they have. We have carbon bows. We have wood bows. We have both. Thank you. Sheldon, good night. Eric says, I would love videos or webinars about harmonics, the way to produce all of them, drills, etc. Absolutely. Yes, I will try to cover harmonic concepts in later videos. Eric, next time, feel free to post one of those questions, and I'll hopefully get to it. Cool. Looks like most people are calling it a night. I will let you guys go. This will be, sent to you guys later on. And I encourage you guys to come to the next webinar on Saturday. Hope that you all have a great evening and happy violin playing. Hopefully you guys got a lot from the class. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.